Charlie, let's stay on that goalie talk. So obviously yesterday we had the news of Alexei Kolosov coming over to North America. Some misinterpretation. He's not coming to the Flyers right away, correct?
Well, I did a piece on this for diehards only. So if you are a diehard, please check it out. It came out around 3:30, 4 p.m. today. This I do think is a case of just like us believing that Twitter is the entire world, because it's Twitter that is losing its mind over Kolosov, like absolutely going crazy over him, because it's the perfect storm. It is people who are like eat, sleep, and breathe Flyers. Those people on Twitter also tend to obsess over prospects because they eat, sleep, and breathe Flyers. And it's people who think about Flyers all the time, so they're desperately trying to find a solution to the Sandstrom problem. Here's the thing with Kolosov. Number one, just like this isn't new information. It's not new information that he's trying to come over. The Flyers and Danny Briere and Keith Jones over the last 2 weeks have been open about the fact that they are working to try to help Kolosov come over because he's already on an ELC. He was under loan this year. They loaned him to the KHL, so he's already under contract. If they can get him over here, he can play for the Phantoms or the Flyers or whatever. He's allowed to. It's not like they have to sign him to a deal. He's already under contract. So if Kolosov wanted to come over and try to get some North American experience before he takes the run at a full North American season to start next year, which was always the plan, the Flyers are all on board with that. Does that mean, however, number one, that he's going to show up tomorrow? No. He is still working through the visa process. This is still a whole thing. As I said on the show yesterday, I very much get the sense that like the Flyers are not going to do anything to rush this, because they remember the Fedotov situation. They know they have Michkov coming in a few years. They don't want to rock the boat here. They don't want to get Kolosov in any trouble because it feels like, people from the United States are trying to expedite the process. So they're going to let that play out as it does. We'll see when he comes over. I do think he will get to come over to North America at some point in the next couple weeks, but whether that's in 3 days or 13 days, I don't know. It's just going to kind of come down to how the embassies, how the consulates, how all that stuff works out. Then, if he actually does get over here in enough time to potentially play in Flyers games, because let's be honest, the people losing their minds on Twitter about this only really care about whether he's going to get into Flyers games. They don't care of whether he's going to, he'll get to play in a couple Phantoms games and maybe give Lehigh Valley a better chance of making the playoffs. That's not on anybody's radar. Everybody cares about whether he's going to be able to come in and play games for the Flyers in the middle of a playoff run. I don't get the sense that idea has been completely ruled out without question. However, I do get the sense that there would have to be a lot of things going in that direction. Like he would have to show up, really impress the coaches in practice. Like that would have to happen. Then maybe Sandstrom would have to have another really bad game. Or maybe Ersson would have to be battling an injury. Like there would have to be a few things happen for them to be like, you know what, we're going to throw Kolosov into a game or two. I'm not saying it's definitely not going to happen. I am saying that I don't get the sense it's their preference, that it's not something that they are itching to do the same way a lot of people on Twitter are itching to get Kolosov into a game. I don't think that's what's going on. However, we are still talking about the Flyers. They are the chaos organization. They do crazy shit. This would be crazy. This would be, as much as people online seem to think this is the no-brainer, which I think is wild, this would be objectively nuts. What you would be doing is you'd be taking a guy who hasn't played in 2 weeks. If it takes him, say, another week to get over here, more days to have some practice to get a look at him, he might be coming in cold, a guy who hasn't played in a game in 3.5 weeks. You're throwing him into a playoff race in a league he's not familiar with, in a country he's not familiar with, in a continent he's not familiar with. This would be objectively nuts. The Flyers, however, often do objectively nuts things, so rule it out entirely, and I don't think it has been ruled out entirely. However, I do not think that this is the grand master plan of the Flyers, of we're going to get Kolosov over here and then immediately turn him into our goalie. If that's what you're hoping for, I don't think that's what's going on, but I can't rule it out entirely. These are still the Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.